Oh, we have three other male supremacists right here. The millionaire realtor brothers hit by a new group of rape claims. Yeah, I've been seeing this one in the news too. That's why I said I gotta step back, man, because there's like piles of them coming in. We know all their sons be this, okay? These are the wholesome boys. They're like, we're so proud of our sons. They're so great. They're also incestuous. Like, there's a portion of this story where it's like not even a focus. I'm like, they're all sexual together. Like, what is this? That's another thing. So you need to look at their parents, okay? Like, a lawsuit filed Tuesday claimed that Tal and Alan Alexander raped a woman in 2012 in coordinated sexual assault that was planned and facilitated by their other brother, Oren. I can't imagine this kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't want to know anything sexual with my sibling, but these guys right here, and you know, it's not about sex, right? But the whole thing is, you got to question, like, what in the living nightmare did their parents do over here? Why are they all sexual together and trying to do this kind of crap? This is not normal. This is not normal on any level. If you guys be doing stuff with your brothers sexually, you need to go commit yourself. More grisly allegations were levied Tuesday against a trio of luxury real estate agent brothers, including one who famously brokered the world's most expensive residential transaction for Ken Griffith in 2019. In a bombshell lawsuit filed in Manhattan, a woman alleged that she was raped by Tal and Allen in 2012 in a coordinated sexual assault that was planned and facilitated by their other brother, Oren, who allegedly sat by and watched. You know how disturbing this is beyond the rape, okay? The rape is bad enough. I had a situation where a setup happened, right? I talked about that so-called connected to GNR camp over there. Yeah, so there was a setup on me as a kid. But here's the thing. These two are brothers, and the brother is watching the other brother in a sexual act, which is rape, on somebody else. Like a setup thing. This here is mentally off kilter for men. And nobody cares about that. It's almost like I think when they write this stuff, it's like, oh, we expect these brothers to like go at it with, a single girl or something. Like there's nothing incestual about, nothing wrong with that. I don't know, but it hasn't been uncommon. While multiple women have sued Alan and Oren Alexander for sexual assault, and more than 30 women have reportedly come forward, Tuesday's lawsuit by Angelica Parker is the first one to name each of the three brothers. This family, who are their parents? I don't know anything about these people. I was just seeing and I go, yep, another group of rich rapist sons. Like, how typical is that in America? Very typical, very typical. But together. So you're looking at like what's happening in this house. You can imagine like there's some of these dads out there. If the sons were like, oh yeah, we all got the same girl. Dad's like, high five, son. I don't know, but something really bad happened in their upbringing, and we need to know more. Today's lawsuit is intended to send a message that the law applies even to the very wealthy. Nah. How old are they? Okay, and well connected, including the Alexanders, the lawyer said. Michael Williman. Okay, to the Daily Beast. We applaud Angelica's bravery in coming forward, as we have no doubt that the Alexanders will amass an army of PR reps and private investigators. Well, I actually told people, they don't act in a certain manner, but the type of investigators these guys are getting are basically criminal stalkers. Like, they're not, I don't know. Some of the stories that have been coming out, of course, I was raised by a PI, so I kind of know, they don't do the conduct that a lot of these women are talking about. And, I have some questions. I mean, the conduct of this is actually like that's organized crime, because that shouldn't even be going on. Okay, and to launch a victim shaming campaign. Yeah. So I got that. Trust, I got that. I got that big time. And I wasn't even dealing with billionaires. However, our stuff the friends in the circle of people are billionaires. And so they're included. I'm like, they're included. In fact, they're the ones that wanted to promote rape a woman since the beginning of America. So those men are the ones that are the driving force to how shitty America is and always has been. And I think it's important to note that there's a lot to this. So it's like, oh, you would expect their sons to be rapists. Like, really? I mean, it's not like they teach their sons any other values, like women in America matter. But this is this. The lawsuit, however, is not the only allegation revealed against twins that raped together, which is just because you're twins, dude. More, I wonder if the parents must have bathed them in the bathtub far too long. Because I talk about this like weird shit when we were like little. And I'm like, I don't even know why my parents even started that bullshit up to begin with. Because at some point you got to separate them. You got to keep them separated. You got to do this thing. And then the kids don't understand why. But there's something where, men just think, two little of the same gender together naked and doing whatever is totally fine. Nothing bad will happen here. That's not true. There's a lot. And plus, we don't know what else was going on with the parents here with the kids. We don't know. But something went really, woo. Okay. More allegations going back 2 decades also emerge in a report from the Wall Street Journal published a week after Alexander, 37. He's 37. He ain't 20 years old. He's 37. He could be my sibling. He could be my younger brother. Yeah. So, stepped away from the real estate company he co-founded after a pair of lawsuits accused him of heinous acts of sexual assault that were atrocious and intolerable in a civilized society. Uh, we don't have a civilized society. Yeah, I mean, if it actually existed, this wouldn't be a normal everyday occurrence, but that's kind of a pipe dream. Okay, a source close to Parker's legal team told the Daily Beast that Chow allegedly sent an email to colleagues on Sunday that read, I have little doubt that given my close relationship with my bros, at some juncture, a lawyer or many lawyers will soon try to lump me in with the allegations against Alan and Orrin. Oh, yeah. You have a Ren in your name, so you're just as guilty. It's the same thing as a Brian. Okay, so no, the whole thing is it's like him guilting. I was talking about that like when you did something wrong, and then you start going on like yeah, and he's like sending this thing out like they're gonna try to do that. Yeah. When he made this statement, Chow was already aware that Ms. Parker intended to file the suit. And his statement was nothing more than a public relations stunt designed to get ahead of today's filing. In the statement to the Daily Beast in response to Parker's lawsuit, a spokesman for Chow, it is unfortunate but fully expected the Shakedown artists are going to line up given the allegations against Chow's brothers. However, Chow has done absolutely nothing wrong, and anyone hoping to peddle outrageous lies in hope of a quick payday. Oh, here we go. The only argument, you guys trying to go, everybody's after your money, and going to find themselves disappointed. Yeah, because the easiest way to get money is to go after a wealthy billionaire and their trashy kids, because that's just easy. It's I was like, where has that ever been easy? Yeah, I don't know. They have no defense. I mean, the truth is they have no defense. So the lawsuit alleges that Parker first met Orrin in 2012 and had a brief relationship. So one fall evening at his party in New York, at a New York apartment, Orrin and Alan, God, dude, these names, allegedly asked Parker and her friend if they wanted to take ecstasy. When they declined, I told you, guess who does the drugs? It is the rich people. I've been saying this forever. I always knew this. Because that's where this whole universe of things came about anyway. It wasn't from a bunch of poor people. I go, these rich people continually do drugs. They're fueling the drug war. They're fueling everything, okay? Because they need money, right? So people do it because they get money. And then there's this whole universe going on, and they go out and they buy it, or they start making it and selling it, whatever. But they're the funnel and the biggest fuel drivers to this crisis, basically, of people doing all this stuff. And then they'll force it on you. So that's another thing. So drug dealers force it on kids. And so here they're going to force it on somebody, I guess, because they decline. Alan made the woman drinks before he proceeded to start hitting on Parker's friend and groping her. These are the guys that I hated growing up, and there's still this pile of, you know what? Uncomfortable, the friend allegedly left the apartment, but stayed in the building stairwell before he was cornered about Parker's safety. Inside the apartment, however, the lawsuit states Parker was raped by Alan and Tal Alexander despite her very clear verbal protest after the lawsuit stated that Parker successfully left the apartment. In the years following the rape, Ms. Parker often encouraged the Alexander brothers as they had many mutual friends and acquaintances. During this time, the Alexander brothers made various defamatory statements about Ms. Parker, graciously telling her friends that they had sex with her, without a course of explaining that the whole event was an orchestrated group rape. I guarantee you there's so many stories like this. I was talking about that thing from a long time ago from some other girls, and some guys were spreading around information. So, anytime you hear these guys bragging about something like, oh, I smashed her, or oh, this, a lot of those are actual rapes. So when they love to gossip, because that's a male thing to do, they like to do that to me. For some reason, like, I'm the one that's going to kick back and be like, right on, bros. Yeah, so they'll just run their mouth and they'll be talking about everybody else. I don't know if it's a thing to make it seem like, oh, well, maybe I should want to be with you guys. I don't know what the hell that's about. But they've done this type of thing. So you have to, and they'll write books, right? Oh, we're bragging about this. And the more you go through this stuff, they're bragging about rape. I literally, you guys, I could even put a link down here. I was watching a show. It's a house show from, I don't know if it was House Hunters. It might have been House Hunters. It was on one of those shows. On one of those damn shows. Oh, now we have the gardener going. I'm going to have to take a pause. I don't know. Hopefully I can talk over him. Anyways, so I was watching one of these shows. And this guy from like Alabama or something, he was like 18 years old, was sitting there bragging about how he was going to his church and he started preying on a 15-year-old at his church. I go, I don't care if it's Alabama or anywhere else. I wasn't legal. They have a 16 AOC over there and it should be higher. Those kids are not protected. But he's bragging about it like it ain't no thing, and they've been married now for like 9 years or something. And it's just like, that doesn't mean anything. And there's a lot of victims that are still with their perpetrators. But I'm like, why? How did this even happen at a church? So you go to a church and you go prey on a kid, and then you marry your victim. Okay, but they did a show, and they're like bragging about this, and they're looking for this tiny, they can't even afford shit. They go get this tiny, tiny little hole in the wall together. And then his brother's helping out. And I'm just looking at this picture going, I wish they didn't even do this show. Like, this show is terrible just for even that thing right there. Because that girl, like, what the hell? The girl is not very sharp. Like, she's, oh, very talented. I will tell you that. But the whole thing is like, her upbringing is in that whole Christian culty crap. And she's like, my man, yeah, this thing. And yeah, and the guy's a total, like, what the hell? You should have been busted then. But, this is Alabama shit, but that's not legal. 9 years ago, it wasn't legal, whenever they did this show. But they're all bragging about it, how men could just do this crap to our gender. It's just this promotion, this arrogance, this narcissism that they have. But, okay, so the lawsuit states that years later, Tal barged in on Parker while she was alone in a guest room of another home and attempted to assault her, but she was able to scream at him and he allegedly relented. Tal created a nickname for Miss Parker, the King's Rat, because she got him thrown out of the home that night. Oh, yeah, so he's a total narcissist. Like, oh, you're the problem why I got in trouble, this thing. They blame you for them raping you. They blame you for them getting thrown out, all this stuff. Okay, Parker's allegations of abuse mirror the 5 women who spoke to the Journal with some alleging Oren Alexander's history of sexual assault goes back as far as high school. Oh, it would have gone back. It would have gone back before junior high. I'm just saying there is conduct that is in development before high school, but by high school, it's like way too late, you guys. Actually, by that junior high portion, but in that high school portion, psh, forget it. They're long gone. So I can only imagine. That's why I keep telling people, look back. The way you could really go back far in these, and we're trying to zoom in on this area because before high school, but that the conduct will be seen there. Now, sometimes you get these ones where they had some conduct and they're not doing that conduct today. And there's this kind of area where it's like people are going through these things, and I'd say for the most part, anybody who is already raping people, that's a thing that they're not gonna change out of high school. Okay, so in one of the more recent incidents, an inspiring model said that she was raped by Orion inside a New York City apartment in 2017 after he instructed her to put on virtual reality goggles. Oh, God. I haven't tried those things, but I can't even with this. The woman who was not named said she put the goggles on and had her dress ripped off shortly after, incapacitated partially by the goggles, that she alleged that Oren Alexander began raping her despite her crying and begging him to stop. Another woman who spoke to the Journal identified herself as a Miami real estate agent who ran in the same ritzy circle as Oren and Allen. The realtor told the paper that she'd been hanging out with Oren Alexander in a Miami nightclub in 2017, the night of her alleged assault. She said that she went to his home later that evening where she accepted a drink that was poured by him. Shortly after, the woman said that she and Oren Alexander became intimate consensually, but when they started to move to the bedroom, she recalled that she began feeling sick. When the room's spinning and her vision blurred, she said she told Oren Alexander she didn't want to have sex and that she wanted to sleep off the alcohol. Yeah, if it was even alcohol. Here's another. The woman said Oren Alexander didn't stand for that, however, telling the Journal that he instead pushed himself onto her and raped her. Isn't that like every story of the 90s, like from these guys? Or, this whole thing, I was like, is anything consensual? There's none. I was like, she said she didn't tell the police about the incident because she feared she wouldn't be believed. No, you'd be believed. They just feel that you deserved it because you went over there and drank. Okay, so we need to really stop saying the sociopath narcissist excuse as to why they raped you. Okay, so we've been saying this. You would totally be believed. It's just the mindset about you being raped there is something that is your fault because it's a hate crime. Okay, and that she willingly went to his home. Yes, you say this is a problem that I have with this because women keep saying it, but the reason why they think it is because the socio rapist that does it says things like this. Like they say it. It's sort of a repeated thing. So it's like when you go to them, they'll go, we think they're all liars. Like they say this thing, but they don't mean it because they know they're rapists, right? So it's this weird thing, but then they tell off because she went willing to his home. That would be the excuse as to why they okay hate crimes on her gender, because you went to his house, right? Pamela Anderson's bullshit where she's like, what you were up to, this bullshit. So it's that line of wording right there that's been said, but it's about that. It's like they're going to sit there and say, you went to his house, so you deserve to be raped, okay? So that's it. You're a willing participant. Like they want to start this shit. That's a total sociopath right there. That's how you know. So we should never say that I feared that I wouldn't be believed. You shouldn't believe that. It's part of brainwashing. It's part of that whole thingy mabobber right there. I never thought anybody was going to think I was a liar. No. What I felt was, I think in some of these cases that, like I said, they were going to ruin my career anyway. and that they were gonna go after possibly the wrong people, like go after, this whole thing. I was trying to protect people that I shouldn't. We'll put it that way. More than it would be that no one would believe me. It's like I never made up stories like that, so I didn't have this conversation with myself. I wouldn't be believed. I'm just saying on my part of how I view this, and I think I view it properly. It's that my perpetrator tried to throw it as my fault when I got him off my body, trying to rape my kid body over here. And he started getting mad. And I'm sitting there like, you don't even have a moment to get mad. You're like freaked out. And then they flip it, right? So they flip it. That's your typical, what they're calling narcissist sociopath. Okay. That's part of their trait. That literally is, and you cannot allow it to happen. They will play that game, and you could take it back. They flip it, but you could flip it right back. So a third woman who spoke to the Journal alleged that she was raped by him in 20 years ago when they were both in high school. Yes, so nobody should be doing none of this shit. Okay, there's a lot of guys that haven't been busted yet. Okay, there's been a lot of guys. I don't know about a bunch of girls, but there's gonna be a whole bunch of people back in the high school time, because I was talking about, I've been trying to really dig into that area, because I was like, but actually not the high school area, the junior high area, because that's actually where it's more seen, and actually it was seen in I was like a preschool. It was seen in first grade. This conduct was actually starting to be seen and formed by first grade. So I wanted to make it clear that and then it's like a thing that starts growing. Like there's something going on that's just fueling it. And then they become worse and worse monsters. And it's interesting how some veer off where maybe they started off kind of monstrous and then they could veer off to being a better person. I don't, there's a lot in that area that I was like, we need to like really zoom right in there. And it goes, when they were both in high school, the woman said she and the other girls were invited to his home for a party, but when they showed up, only 5 people were there. It almost sounds like the Kevin Spacey. See, Kevin Spacey does it by himself, allegedly. He's like, I'm having a party at my house, and you come over and it's just him. Okay, so 3 Alexander's I told you it's a total plot by these men. It is straight up. And if anybody doesn't know, it's a plot. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, 3 Alexander brothers and 2 of their friends. Yeah. The woman who spoke anonymously to the paper said the brothers gave each of the girls alcohol and separated them from each other before raping them. Yes. So there was a very known thing of men doing this. Okay, so they tried to separate me and my friends. Now, back in the day, I think we all blamed each other. I don't know what the hell. I was very angry that my friends put me in a room of some, bullshit here, and then I get raped from some stranger guy. Okay, but they knew who he was. And so I think for a long time I harbored like a lot of anger for this, because it's like I was the good one out of all of them because I didn't do any of this other stuff that they did. And then it was like this one night, like, this thing happens and I go, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Why am I the one getting injured in this thing? And then, because the 2 girls that were there weren't particularly the ones that were trying to get me harmed, in the earlier portion. I mean, there was another portion in here with that other girl, a different one. But one of the girls that was there, like, her and her sister were total sociopaths, and they should have been thrown in prison. Like, I'm not kidding. They literally got kids raped. And so I'm like, that's human trafficking. You can't try to set up an adult with a young kid. And why are you doing that? You're doing it to be vindictive, and you get off on it, and that's why you did it. And so we're in a house where her sister was renting, and that's where I get raped, right? See, so there was this thing here with that. And then later, even my boyfriend was trying to get me separated from my friend. And this is more of a hindsight thing when we're looking back at it, where I was like, oh, dude, you know what I mean? That's the setup. That's the setup. I don't think my boyfriend was purposely trying to set them up, but I think his whole thing was like, he wants to be alone with me, and then I think he knew that somebody wanted to be with my friend. And so, there's a whole thing to this. And I think it even got brought up in the Playboy story where Hef the setup, and people are just like, all having regrets and all kinds of things about this, or they're like, I hope you don't think I, enabled this or whatever bullshit. And, you can't hold that much on these people, but there are legitimate ones where girls are trying to set them up to be raped, which is the case of that other girl that I was talking about. So yes, they can very much be part of that. But my other friends, that's not what their MO, that's not their MO to have that happen to me. They didn't even know it happened. Um, the these accounts have added to the already shocking number of rape allegations that Alexander's staring down. Yeah, these are the guys that are like, I had 2,000 girl. Yeah, these ones. Watch out, dude, because most of those are probably not even consensual. Over the weekend, an insider alleged that page 6 that Alexander would take coke with them. Oh, we've been talking about cocaine in the comments. These coke heads. Yeah, and how it's associated with sociopaths. It totally is. That's part of the traits because that's just their bullshit. And I don't know if I could say that every cokehead is a sociopath, but most sociopaths tend to do coke. I don't know what that is about, but yeah, it's like that thing. And so, yeah. And you could tell, like, or talk about Alec Baldwin. It's like he just comes off as a total cokehead, and he admitted to doing drugs. So, in the past, now I don't know what he's doing today, but they could be off drugs, they're still going to be cokey. You know what I mean? That's just their thing. The highs and lows. And the addictions, right? And he's just a non-fixable. Okay, so coke with him to parties to give to women before trying to take them to bed. Okay, so where's Alexander buying this coke? I want to know where Alexander's buying the coke from. That's what we're talking about. That's the shit we're talking about. I go, isn't it funny? Government go and target the poor. And now there could be a thing where they're buying it from the poor, but they wouldn't be poor anymore because the rich people would be giving them so much money, they would now live in McMansions, right? So you need to question where these rich men are getting their stash from. And this is what's been going on for eternity. And I started outing that, and guess who comes after me? All the rich people. I was like, yeah, I go because I know y'all be snorting coke up in here. And they have no fear because they know government, who's all their sons, right? Government is the sons of America. I mean, you know what I mean? These are the kids. They get into government, so then they control the rules and laws, and everything is pushed away from them to where they never get in trouble. Government's not even doing drug bust on them. Government knows when they go to those music awards, they're drunk as shit like a Justin Timberlake. And they don't even do like stops right there. Cause I would be like the queen stop of you could just put a DUI checkpoint right outside, the music awards, and you would bust half those people right away when they leave. You know what I mean? But they don't do any of that. And they go and target the average American and poor people, right? But this is the truth and the reality. Drugs are a big number one problem with rich people. And they've been fueling all these cartels. Who's paying for those guys? The rich. You have to have money to do that, okay? Drugs are not cheap, okay? It may start off cheap, but having a thing like this, where they have piles of drugs, the average person can't do that. And that's probably why some of them that are, they're not rich people, they end up on the street. But guess who's sitting there demanding that they get thrown in prison? Their parents, right? These people's parents, like all that whole thing. And I'm like, they're no different than your trashy sons. The poor that are doing the same thing that these guys are doing? Not different at all. They're the same. Except for the poor people cannot afford the amount of drugs that your damn sons are here, and they're handing it out like candy. Why are your sons getting girls hooked on coke? He's been handing them out at parties. They have no fear of a homeland bust. They have like literally no fear of any type of bust, okay? A Fed bust. So they have these parties and they come out here with crack, and then they start questioning. I go, I've never been in trouble for no shit like that. So this is the stuff that they're doing. And we already know. I'm just saying, we already know. And we already know the average Americans thing. And we know that these rich people are doing it. They were the ones. I go, why is my car in Bel Air? Why is my car in Beverly Hills? I mean, it's telling you something, you know what I mean? It's like the sexual assault lawsuit against Alexander and his brothers allege a similar pattern as to what insiders described. One of those women claimed that in 2010, when she was 18, that the brothers spiked her drink before taking her home and raping her. Why are your sons doing this shit? This is so common that no, there's going to be more lawsuits. I think it's just a thing that is coming around where people are like, yeah, this fucking did happen to me. Okay. Orrin Alexander has vehemently denied any wrongdoing, dismissing the lawsuits against him as nothing more than baseless civil allegations. I am confident that through review of the extensive evidence, including text messages and other communications, that the truth will be brought to light. I guarantee you that at the time that these crimes were happening, the girls probably didn't even know, like, that they got drugged up. I mean, when they spiked their drinks, because that was one of the things that was so confusing in this story over here. That it was like, why would anybody do this to me when I went to their house? You know what I mean? There wasn't a pre anything, like somebody denying anybody's, forceful bullshit. Nothing. It was something where somebody had a plot, and somebody took advantage of that and then did something, and then I got, all these like terrible, like, things that happen afterwards. So they made it impossible for me to file anything on that person, and I would have in a heartbeat. But because LAPD was targeting me because I lived with them right then, it made it impossible. And their team on the side that raped me was also hanging out with LAPD. And so we had a celebrity camp here doing it, and then these guys had me move in. Only to try to make me homeless. There was a whole hate crime here. So they did that, and then this happened in the middle of it, and then the house thing. And so I was saying there was a judge involved in it as well. And yeah, so they did that on purpose. So it was a hate crime by multiple parties. LAPD, the courthouse in Van Nuys, absolutely. LA County, the code office, whoever had to deal with for the illegal house, them, 1000% them. Because they were using me. The thing that's infuriating is that they used me to get information to the county about the criminal Castros, and then turned around and did what they did to me. And it's just the most filthiest thing that had ever happened in my life. And I lost like half my life in that portion right there. For years. It took years to even come back from that situation. It caused me so much trauma that I'll never get over it. So they got away with it for now. Doesn't mean forever. But for now, they got away with it. And then they're trying to do cover-ups. So you have to be very careful. The cops will be covering up for these rich guys right here. So I'm explaining the story even on a lesser level, where I'm not even fighting billionaires at this moment. I'm fighting government. Government's pretty fucking bad. I mean, is it pretty much the same as fighting billionaires? Probably. I mean, you could look at it equally the same because they're kind of in bed together because they kind of fund them to do stuff for them, and they want the laws the way that they want them, and then they pretty much cater to them. The oligarchs. We call them the oligarchs. So, that's going on. So when contacted by the Journal with a slew of new allegations, the paper reported that Isabel, a lawyer for Alexander's brothers, declined to comment. Instead, she reportedly shared a statement about the lawsuits they faced. Our preliminary investigation of the claims have uncovered clear and irrefutable evidence that vindicates the Alexanders, which we look forward to presenting in the court. She did not immediately respond to requests for comment. I absolutely hate that these rapist men go and use a woman as a pawn for a lawyer. It is one of the grossest. It is the pin of all pins, isn't it? Because you hate these women. I was like, are you that desperate for fucking a job? But yeah, I mean, but they're doing it to be like, look, women will defend us. I mean, I just love it. It's like they're out here like bragging. I had these wild days and I did all this crap. And then all of a sudden you call them out and they're like, oh no, I lived a wholesome life and I really care about other people and I've done all this like charity. Yeah, they'll do this crap. Oh, I got kids. I got 20 kids and I'm a good father. And it's like and then early on they're like degrading their kid. And yeah, I mean, it's like child abuse, this whole thing. And it's like the last thing you want to see is these people with a bunch of kids, man. It's going to be more messed up kids in the world. We're going to have three more trash sons just like these idiots right here. I mean, they're literally the poster boy of every guy I try to avoid. These assholes, like these are the ones I would sit there and give me so much shit because I don't buy into this crap. They consider me evil because I would turn their asses in. Look, is your drink spiked, dude? There's probably some drugs in that. What's it? What the fuck is that? I was like, we gotta drink our martinis with the fuck. There's an olive in there. I was like, I don't know. There's a green ball, and it's probably saying you don't want to know. Yeah, but question this: why are they incestuous? These guys are mentally off kilter. Just number one with this thing, with their sexual conduct together. How disgusting is that? We're gonna watch each other do it. It's like, this is the Duggar family, with like three Josh Duggars together on each other. I mean, what is this?